We're going to talk about MVPs. Let's get into it. All right, so what are MVPs? Well, first of all, not the type you get from playing in a sport. We're talking about MVPs in the world of making products, specifically minimum viable products. The term MVP was originally coined by Eric Ries in the Lean Startup, and there's been countless books, articles, videos, etc., written about it since then. And there's lots of debate over what an MVP is and is not. But among my favorite is this great illustration by Jussi Pasanen, where he talks about building what I often refer to as narrow MVPs versus shallow MVPs. And to highlight that, we're going to use a Rubik's Cube. Let's take a look. All right, so this is your product. This is your idea. This is the business you want to build. And what we can tell from this is it is complex. And if you've ever tried to do a Rubik's pyramid, I guess is what they call this, you know how complex it is. You get a couple of these pieces out of alignment and you may never get it back together. Here's the other thing we have to know. Right now, these gray shapes, they represent all the things that are not yet built, all the things that we do not yet know. However, these orange shapes, these are going to represent the things that we do know, the things that we have built, the things that are working. So what do? Well, first we need to understand the different altitudes of this. This bottom line is going to represent just our base functionality, the things that we want to do, all the features and making them functionable. One tier up, that's going to represent being reliable. Can you actually do that thing consistently and do it somewhat well? Above that is going to be usable. Is it actually, you may be able to functionally do it, but can someone actually use it? And then at the very top of this pyramid is going to be delight. Is it actually enjoyable to use? And again, you cannot just jump here. It's too long, too time consuming. You don't have the time, you don't have the budget. You probably don't even have the know-how or the team to do it. So you have to start small. And that's where the MVP comes in. So you have a choice to make. You can only make so many things in your first iteration. But the question is, what do we start to build with? And you would be tempted to build a shallow MVP, where you have lots of functionality, but that functionality barely does what it says it should do. It doesn't do it very reliably. It doesn't do it in a way that's very easy to use, and it's definitely not delightful. But we're spending our calories focused on building lots of things poorly. And I don't think that's what makes a good MVP and what is beautiful about the illustration that Jussi put together. So instead of building shallow MVPs, we're going to focus on this. Not all the functionality, one slice of functionality, and we're going to build a narrow MVP. A narrow MVP does one thing, it does it reliably well, it's somewhat easy to use, and there's even a bit of delight so that you enjoy using it. This is a much better version of an MVP. This narrowest, slimmest, slightest sliver of functionality that you can deliver somewhat reliably well, somewhat useful, and with a little bit of delight. This is the focus of MVPs. So remember, MVPs, don't build shallow, build narrow.